guys, welcome to Dream Access TV. I am Seth Troxler. We are on Seth Speaks, a show dedicated to me talking to my friends about whatever we feel like. So come and join us. Today we have Matthew Deere and Matias Aguayo. We'd like to say thank you guys for joining us. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Doing good over here too.
Yeah,
nice to meet you, Matthew.
I know. I feel like I know you so well through your music, but we've never really spoken.
Likewise.
So surprising to me because knowing both of you and Matt, I've known you my whole life. Basically, you guys are very similar. I mean, also musically and artistically, I think in so many ways.
Yeah, and we have many friends in common. So apparently, it was always like something like this. No,
I feel very MTV right now. Like Kurt Loder, you heard it here first.
Yeah. I must say, everything from Closer Music to roller skate. It's like it all makes its way into my life many times over and over again, and I love
beautiful.
I love seeing you in digital format for the first time, like face to face.
Likewise, very cool.
Oh, that's incredible. So you guys have both actually featured the two featured kind of shows on our new crazy Gonzo network here, Dream Access TV. You got the Matt Deere show, and Matias, your show's in Spanish. So like, what do you call it? Or how do you say it?
Well, it's called 2031, like Televisión del Futuro para la Gente del Pasado, which means 2031 television from the future for the people of the past.
Wow, boom.
I love it. The trailer was epic. I was getting very serious, like Dune, Blade Runner / like Koyaanisqatsi, like it was very gorgeous.
Yeah. We when we were working on this, because I'm as I told you, I'm not doing this show alone. I couldn't do that. I have my two fine collaborators, which on the one hand is Camille Mandoki, who did the trailer and many other parts of the show, and then Carlos Aye, also somebody who has collaborated a lot in my label at Comeme. And we came to the agreement that like the trailer, the beginning of the show needs to be very epic, and that was the aim. So we succeeded in that 2031. Mm-hmm.
Was Camille also the person who did the documentary that was halfway through the?
Yes. Camille did this a documentary, or so to say, or essay, or whatever you call it, in which a friend from Chile, and Antonieta Valenzuela, she wrote a text about lucid dreams and the techniques of how to acquire lucid dreaming and to develop that. And so Camille, in combination with that text, which is spoken by Camille, developed like this kind of dreamy atmosphere, which is like also the idea of having like these documentaries for stoners, or I don't know, like this idea of this kind of spaced out documentary that speaks with a new language that we need for the future. No, I think we all need some new ways of expressing ourselves, also after all what is happening now. And this is like the quest of our show, and also the idea why we have the charts from the future and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love watching you guys the first day when we aired on 420. I mean, me and my friends, we sat around on all the shows, and we're just like, wow, this is fucking, this is the best stoner TV I think I have ever. Stoner TV by people who aren't getting that stoned anymore.
Exactly.
Still live in the zone of being like, wow, this is kind of.
We grew up with that stuff, like there was something about the older generations of the 90s, when television, like liquid television on MTV and 120 minutes, like up after dark, these kind of like late night, like the cable gods were a little looser on the programming, and UHF, Weird Al Yankovic. We talked about that before. These are
UHF
all like,
yeah,
they're moments in our youth that really stood out because they're just so weird, like it's just people being weird and strange and not following any guidelines or rules. And I think we're missing a lot of that. Yeah, we're missing a lot of that these days. Like, and it's sad because we have so much opportunity with the internet and everything to do things that are very strange and bizarre. But like Matias said, it's time to use a different language. I think a different vocabulary to speak with people. And thanks for giving us the opportunity.
Yeah, it's really great. Twitch, I think, is kind of like the Wild West in terms of being able to do whatever you want broadcast wise. No nipples, but outside of that, you can do everything. And it kind of this 90s version. The 90s was a really time that we celebrated the slacker hero, right? This beautiful version of this guy who was really creative, but maybe a bit on the guy or girl, a bit on the outside, a bit of a loser, but like the hero of everyone. And I think, not saying that you guys are losers, the people on our show are losers, but it's this kind of more looseness to how we address culture and we address experimentation. There were so many great bands and so many great ideas that came out of this kind of 90s version of ourselves on the future, and I think we're really starting to explore some of those here on Twitch, like it's kind of funny to have that open space again.
Yeah, definitely. For us, this definitely is, and we're very happy for that. It's just a field of experimentation with stuff, experimenting with stuff, because our show, for instance, is obviously psychedelic and it's silly, but also we try to be deep at the same time, and this is what we're all about also in our music. No, I mean, I think techno and house and everything achieved somehow to combine silliness and fun with deepness and spirituality, and I think that's and if we want to express ourselves nowadays in a way that we can't express ourselves like in this dialogue that we have with the people on the dance floor, I think it's worth to examine and to explore like different ways of expressing ourselves in an artistical way, because I think in the electronic music scene, what has happened is that it has become very much business-like. And I remember that when I went to artist dinners in the past, it was kind of a freak show of weird people.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became more and more entrepreneurs and people talking about business. So I think this is an opportunity for us to expand maybe our artistic means and possibilities in a fun but also interesting way. I don't know.
I mean, you hit something so important there, and that's something I really wanted to bring to the table, providing this outlet for people. Is so many artists are like, there's not so many real artists in electronic music anymore, and I think if you're an artist, you're an artist across the board. It's like people know you guys for your music, but you're much deeper in so many aspects in life, and the ways you produce your music, your trains of thought, the books you read, the ways that you express yourselves in all assets or facets of your life, and I think the shows that you guys are putting out, like, it's kind of funny, like whenever a DJ has to talk about politics or anything outside of DJing, it seems like the social media kind of bubble is like, well, stick to music. And it's like, what, I also have a brain, and it's so nice to be able to see you guys actually now experiment in things. That's the whole point. It's like, okay, these are DJs and musicians, but we're all doing stuff besides DJing and making music on the shows, which I find to be super interesting and a super crazy experiment, a social experiment.
Yeah,
Matthew, when you, sorry, no.
I was going to say, I mean, let's be honest. I think people are afraid to talk about, especially as you're an elder musician, as you kind of age through the scene a bit. If you're jazz, if you're electronic music, anything, you do things so much that there's a point in time where you have to do something else. You have to explore different artistic outlets, and visual media and visual entertainment has always been such a big part of my life. And telling a story not only through music but maybe through image as well has always been a passion and something I've wanted to try. So let's just be real that maybe it's good for artists sometimes to try something completely left field and get their feet wet in a completely different medium, you know, like, because otherwise they're just going to tire out and be doing the same thing over and over again. You know, there's only so many. I love electronic music, and I will till the day I die. You know, I'll never lose that magical feeling of being on a dance floor and hearing a record for the first time that makes me feel like all goosebumps and makes me run back to the studio and say, oh, I need to make that. I need to make that song, or I need to try to emulate that. But that is only 10% of it, you know. It's like there's all this other stuff we need to be doing with our brains as artists, and this is part of it, you know.
Yeah, you were saying, Matt, as well, that like making a TV show had always been a dream of yours. You're like, oh,
totally. For me too. I mean, I did one thing. I think 3 years ago, which was like this thing called True Matias show, in which I was 12 hours, and in each hour working with another musician. It was a live stream in Chile, and yeah, I realized, like, I mean, I could totally enjoy dedicating myself more to kind of these things. I really enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
But it's crazy that the amount of content and deadlines is, you don't realize how much it is until you really sign up for it. I've been like editing nonstop, you know, just like putting pieces together.
Also, as we expand the network, I think I was talking to a couple other people. I think maybe 2 shows a month is a bit more.
I love it. It's a good like challenge, but I was talking to Jen. I'm like, I don't think South Park has these strict of like deadlines. It's like
no. I think reducing it to 2 shows a month. I was talking to a couple of my friends about that, and I was like, guys, this is crazy.
We're gonna burn out.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to burn anyone out, and you want to keep it special, you know. Twice a month to make a show I think it's possible. Totally. But yeah, it's all experimenting. That's what we're doing right now. It's like
we're learning.
You know, it's like there's no playbook to the unknown. You know? That's the funny part. Let's talk a bit about your shows. I mean, both are so interesting in the sense that, like, almost like a kind of Coming to America Eddie Murphy, or, you know, you guys play all these multiple roles and create all these fantastical characters and these kind of different these different modes, right? So you've got both. You have these kind of, well, you have the puppets made of paper, Matias, and Matthew's got the hand puppets.
That's so cool.
So they should meet one day, no? Definitely.
Absolutely.
One day. Yeah. We have to see how we can do that.
Maybe interview each other. Champagne can drop a single.
Yes.
On
yes.
on Matias's radio, like a countdown show, like hits countdown show. But when you guys,
Seth, you say puppets, but that's really my team. That's my manager. Champagne's my kind of like ghost producer. I didn't really admit it the first one, but I do have a ghost producer, and that's Champagne. Champagne writes all my music. I just basically sign off here and there. And then Lizard's my tech. He's like the tech, you know. He gets things done. And then my manager JJ. So that's my team. Shout out.
They're the real. It's like Ari in Entourage.
Totally. I base everything off of Entourage. That's where I try to get all my inspiration. Business-wise from.
Yeah. So when you guys Matias, when you were going to create your show, what were your, I know because we've been speaking about this all for some months, and what were your initial thoughts on like how to approach creating the characters or the themes that ran throughout your show?
Well, when you asked me, I was thinking first, like, wow, yes, absolutely, I need to do this. I want to do this. It's a good time to do it. But then I also thought, wow, fuck, there's going to be a lot of work. and then I thought, okay, I have to find a way to make it something simple and easy to do. So it will be realistic to it not really overwhelm me with work, and that it's going to be easy to deliver once a week. Then obviously with my partners, because as I said, I was like, no, I can't do this alone, because Aya, who's in the same jungle than me, so to say, and Camille have been collaborators in the past, especially Aya, considering all these video things with the characters and the lip sync and stuff we've been doing already for ages, because we've been collaborating a lot in the past. So it all made sense and came together. But obviously we became over ambitious, and now we're working like crazy on these things. So it's like always like, I don't know, when I do something, then I get obsessed with it, whatever it is. So but yeah. And then we had like, because at some point when we talked, I was thinking like, okay, maybe let's do a cooking show, no, because I cook a lot. And then we thought it was always moving around. But then at some point we had like this idea, and I thought, okay, let's do a show from the future. Let's do 2031. So there was first the name, and then was the rest, because we thought like 2031, that sounds really cool, and also it sounds scary, but maybe can sound also hopeful, because at times especially now, it's very like there is like this dystopic feeling all around, and worries and fears. But at the same time, we wanted to give this feeling that if an old world collapses, then maybe a new one can emerge, and to fantasize with this utopia and this idea from also a positive future, which is quite opposed to what is common thing nowadays, somehow was a very attractive thing to me. And also, as we are all musicians, I think the program develops in a logic, in a way that maybe somebody who comes really strictly from visual art wouldn't do, because our stories are developing very much out of music in a way, and out of the similar kind of inspiration that you have when you do music. It's like things that surround you suddenly become concrete, and then suddenly a story develops by itself. You even have the impression you're not doing this, it's somebody else. It's like a bigger spirit that's guiding you through this. And so I think that there is like some narrative developing around 2031 that we have no control of, and that's super interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Matthew, and no, it's so funny, because it's like 2031 is a date that seems somehow in the super future, but
it's
actually
10 years.
It's very quite close. Yeah.
I mean, I'm about to have a baby, and I was thinking the other day, and same with your kids, Matt. Our kids will probably live to 2100. You know, which is
That's scary.
Really, really scary, but also like amazing to think about, you know. And it's also another thing you touched on, Matias, is, you know, so much of science fiction or things depicted for the future are of these dystopian, where it's kind of nice, like, to depict a future where, let's say, this old system, or the system now, has died, and then it's just something that's a bit more utopian. I mean, I think only artists can envision a utopian future in which we all want to follow and kind of become a part of. Matthew, when you were going to create your show, I mean, it's kind of funny. You guys are both in very rural areas. What were some of the inspirations behind? Because it's almost like basically being isolated and then creating characters in a kind of Malkovich type way that you interact with due to your isolation. Do you want to talk about how the environment that you're in and kind of what else, whatever else helped you influence to make the shows?
Yeah, 100%. For me, I live, you know, I'm not like in the jungle, but I am just outside of the city of Ann Arbor, Michigan. So I'm kind of surrounded by horse farms, and you know, I live on some land, and I don't have to see my neighbors if I don't want to. So I think during this time, especially, you know, it's allowed me to kind of, you know, it's allowed me to go inward. You know, Matias, like I can really disappear, like within myself, whatever I want to do, the art or family. You know, we have some livestock now. I've got ducks and goats and all this stuff. So I think for me, it's been easy just to like kind of check out, you know, and like just completely go internal when it comes to just focusing on whatever I want to focus on. So in that way, it's been fantastic. And I think there's no better time to do a show like this when you have that much time and that much, freedom to choose whatever you want to do. Where are you exactly, Matias? Like I see the jungle behind you, but where are you?
I'm in the fog forest of Veracruz, near the Gulf Coast in Mexico.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said, because okay, we both are I think very lucky, no? Because I was just by coincidence here. I could have also passed all the pandemic or in a big city, paying like an expensive rent and having other trouble. So I was very lucky that coincidences and intuition took me here.
Yep.
At a point where I was already kind of fed up with not fed up, but I don't know. I since before the pandemic, I thought things can't go on like this. Not for the world, and also not for our music context, no?
Yes.
I was having more and more the impression that our scene, to which we both belong, was more and more dictated by fear and by this pressure of having to release and having to show presence and having to show visibility, and all these kind of things that come a little bit from an advertisement mentality. And I saw like the ambitions of artists, especially of young artists, reduced to gain some significance, to gain some to see themselves whatever in a good review, and instead of these big ambitions we had as musicians in a very start, to say like, okay, we will change the world with music, which is maybe was a bit naive, but still I kind of was felt myself very alienated from that. And also I had abandoned my social media and everything, and then we suddenly were in this position where we were all apart from each other, and also that took me, as you just said, inwards, and that was obviously interesting, because the inner world for me was something that I somehow had neglected in the past, or I hadn't, because as you guys know how it is, the constant distraction of traveling all the time and playing everywhere all the time. Also, you don't really get these cycles of the year of winter, spring, summer that somehow give you a consistency. And also you don't get this time to examine or dive into your inner world and emotions, which is so necessary, as I now learned, being stuck in one place and having to deal with all these demons that one had neglected before in this other life that we had before. So reevaluating and recognizing like this inner world has been super interesting for me, and also discovering other stuff, like as I'm here in this space, for instance. For me, it was very much discovering the microcosmos, like the insects and the spiders and all these little things, and the mushrooms and everything that's crawling there, and getting like some other connection to, or the sounds of the birds or whatever, things like that.
Yeah, it's great you say that, because we in our during the pandemic as well, we focused on many of the same things because we started noticing them. And my wife she has a master's degree in elementary education, so we did something we've always wanted to do. We started a forest school, which is kind of using the outside, the nature as your classroom. And we started small with just our family and a few friends, and now we've grown into about I'd say right now our session has about 12 different families of kids.
Wow.
Maybe about 20 kids, and we're outside every week. We go outside once a week and meet for 3 hours, and it's the same thing. We talk about the bugs, we talk about fungus and mushrooms and lichen, and we listen to the birds. We just did a lesson on owl and predators and prey and owl pellets. The thing that the owl spits out and it has all the bones of the mice and the the little things that it eats, and the kids were cutting them up and they were looking at all the parts of the food that the owl ate, and a completely microcosm, the micro universe that we live around, and learning how to listen to nature and listen to the birds and read it like a map, to really hear what the world is doing, as opposed to what social media is doing, or what your synthesizer is doing even. It's really cool to like completely plug into a totally different infrastructure and network. So I'm in the same place. It's really cool to hear you say that.
I think so many of us were for so long tied down into that that kind of routine of being a traveling musician and kind of living in that world, that this time has been really regenerative and reformative of ideas and kind of structures and different ways that we could live our lives and different ways that we could create. It's so it's so impressive to hear how you guys have reassociated that with nature and the environment that you live in. But like you said, Matias, taking that time to really address ourselves and our own kind of, let's say, emotions, I think really adds so much to the creative process. One thing that I found was really interesting, kind of turning back to music, was with your guys' shows, how you all focused on what it kind of seems is it's all music created by yourselves, right? And Matias, your show, and I know Matt, all of his music is kind of both a snapshot into the kind of interesting world and mind of your own, Matt, but it's all kind of previews of unreleased music. And Matias, on your show, is it mostly music that you've created as well, or under different?
Well, it's all of us three. Like there is some depending on which show or what moment. There is some music from Camille Mandoki. There is music from Aya, and there's also music of mine. But all the music is in the show is original, except for the videos where we invite people. Like last time we had, for instance, this group Crystal from Tokyo with the track, and also.
But that was the crazy video, right? The crazy music.
This kind of and there was also a video in the end from a group called Super Chin, which doesn't exist anymore, from Santo Domingo, from Dominican Republic. But other than the explicitly invited videos or something, all the music of the program is original music. Yeah,
for me it was just a great place to put all this music that added up, I have so much unreleased music, and I don't think a lot of it was fully realized, and once I put it to some video, some moving image, it becomes alive. It's been a really cool way to debut and show like 2-minute songs that I did, or 1-minute songs that never would have had a home on an album or a release. So I love just being able to pull from my hard drives and be like, oh, let me use this track for this part, and it totally comes alive with the visual element. And maybe also I can get some feedback from people who would listen who watch it and say, oh, cool, like I really like this song, like maybe you can do this some more, and so maybe I can build that song a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I mean, the tracks were incredible. Champagne's come to say hello. I mean, I guess Champagne did produce all the music, so.
She's a little shy. You shy?
It's actually a great time to segment into a little video clip of Champagne.
All right, see you later. Get back to work.
That was great.
She's gonna go back to work. Or I don't know. He, she. Champagne's kind of loose.
Champagne, yeah. I mean, in a time of pseudonyms or like whatever.
Yeah.
When
it's just Champagne.
Just Champagne, right? Why can't
just Champagne? Just Champagne. Right? Yeah. I get along well.
Awesome. And then with your kit, kind of since Champagne just popped in, You want to tell us a little bit about the TV show, like about the kind of, what is it, like a countdown hits show that we were just speaking about, where you had the guest on and the kind of presenter, the character.
Yeah, the presenter and all these characters also that you see in, for instance, like the creatures that are hiding in the forest and in the cryptozoology thing. This is all Carlos Reynoso's work, and yeah, they are obviously an important part to the show, and there will be more. And yeah, the top 10 thing for me is like a game to imagine the music from the future, or the music how it could sound in a better world. So it's quite a task. It has to sound like nothing before.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, and also how you made the 10 inches and the whole situation. I was really mesmerized by the characters and the whole thing. It was so fun.
Vinyl will still be alive in 2031.
Yeah, that's 100%. What's the name of the presenter of the show? The character you created there.
The top 10 one? I don't know. I have to ask him. It's actually none of these characters is here at the moment, but I have to find out. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever seen?
The presenter tells actually a little bit about the bands and everything, and puts it a little bit more into context.
Yeah.
Sorry?
But doesn't speak about himself.
No. He mostly tells about the band, or how the music became popular, or which scene this music belongs to, and the stories around that tell us possible stories from the future, like for what kind of festivities after the times of devirtualization of the society this kind of music was used, and how it was spread throughout the whole planet. So yeah, I think the narrator there gives us a glimpse into this future. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
what the stories will develop much more. What?
Let's watch it. I was saying we're gonna drop a clip in right now so people can see.
Sean bienvenidas a los top 10 de esta semana, el sonido del 2031 para ustedes. Comenzamos con una nueva entrada, número 10 de esta semana, la banda Kumori con el tema Kumori, ya un clásico de los encuentros psicoespirituales de interespecie planetarios, ahora cada vez más popular a nivel mundial. Si me preguntan a mí, es solo cosa de tiempo que llegue a ser un hit número 1. La placa hecha 100% de algas invasivas siendo distribuida ya a nivel planetario, más aún para celebrar la caída de 20s. Aquí vamos con la hermosa balada Kumori.
Yeah. Oh wow, guys. So yeah, what are you guys' future plans with the show, and developing more characters, or what are we looking at here for the future?
For me, yeah, for sure. You know, I have to figure out ways to keep it interesting, so it's not just me talking to goats and ducks. You know, I would love to go out on the street and maybe interview some people, some real people. It's fun to like think of. I'm always writing down ideas now. You know, it's like if I'm walking around the yard, or if I see something that I want to maybe like focus on for a segment, like I'm always putting it in my notes on my phone and I really want to see where it can go. You know, I want to do it as long as it can just not be an egomaniacal, narcissistic like expose into my brain. You know, like it's fun to do things that I do, but comes a point in time where that comes a little bit too much. So as much as I can keep it interesting and try to find some other outside things to focus on, then I'll keep doing that. You know.
Yeah. And
more puppets.
More puppets all around. Yeah.
I get to act like a kid again. So, it's been good for my daughter actually has developed a puppet. She wants to have a kind of a romantic love interest with one of my other puppets. So they're going to maybe go take a picnic in the park. They're going to go on a date and we might see a spinoff. We might have a spinoff series that might get a deal outside of this show. We'll see. And I might be competing with myself for ratings.
Okay, that would be pretty incredible. Like a spin-off show within the show.
Yeah,
it's like the mirror upon the mirror upon the mirror of your own mind.
Absolutely. Like Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy to the max, but with your kids.
With my kids. Yeah. So it's all good.
I have another question, Matias. We can talk about where you see the show going, but also like a thing that I started to think about was, it seems that like already this creative exercise is starting to produce so many new ideas. Is it starting to influence your guys' music outside of creating this itself?
Definitely. I mean, we've just started, so I think it's maybe too early to say in some way, but I think obviously the fact that we all three here felt we have to do music for the show, because what made it attractive for us is like, okay, we can do music for something, because at some point for me it was weird to be like in the forest here and making dance tracks that nobody will dance to, and this has a new meaning. So yeah, okay, we need to do the music for the show, because I mean, for us, I mean, you all too know it, it's important to have this dialogue, to see like a body moving to the rhythms you made and get maybe some inspiration from these movements to make other rhythms, etc. But if that's missing, it's like, it's okay to do dance tracks, but it's kind of misses a very important point, no? Like this togetherness in motion thing. And this gave a new meaning for imagining this music of the future and the music of the show and everything. So I think definitely it's obviously influencing my music, because it's some of the music that I'm doing at the moment, which also creates a special vibe. And that's super interesting to see, because obviously I have this show in mind. I see the characters, I see the top 10, but I see also like this spaced out lucid dreaming documentary things, or this all dreamy atmosphere, and that obviously influences the sound. And the sound we are creating at the moment is kind of tailor-made for this show. And yeah, and obviously that's a great influence. And as we all know, I think this is one of the many creative tricks that we can do to inspire ourselves, to say like, okay, how will the music sound in 10 years in the charts, if the charts are not like nowadays something that is very much influenced by algorithmical monopolies and stuff like that. But I don't know, like most, and like having like this kind of inspiration obviously leads to results. And I love this kind of creative games.
Yeah, I mean, creativity is always a mind game with yourself, and it's kind of funny. There's this, I know Matt knows this, but Tenacious D, it's like this group with Jack Black and these other guys. They had a TV show in the '90s, kind of going back to the '90s, and one of the first episode is the search for Inspirato. Right? It's like these guys in their apartment trying to figure out, how to write a song or find the inspirations to write a song. And right now I've talked to so many artists and through time, and even for many people just to play dance music, without the dance floor being there has been somewhat of a mental challenge for so many people to get around to, or just being like, well, what's the point, you know, and finding meaning in the creation of art it's so important to the process, you know, to find a space in your head to create some type of character or to create some type of scenario in which the art has a use or focus. I think is very important sometimes to the aspect or the challenge of creating art. You know, I think currently we've all gotten a great situation here in creating this new kind of outlet for everyone, and looking forward to the future of what it can become. I'm super excited with what you guys have produced so far. We've got a new show coming up from both of you this weekend. Any like little teasers or something that we can play, or you guys want to have a little let's talk about what we got coming up for us?
I go fishing for sound.
Yeah. For sound.
That's a new segment, Fishing for Sound with Matthew Deere.
Okay.
I go fishing, and I'm really looking for good samples, good sounds, and you'll be surprised what I catch.
Oh, incredible!
And it puts up a fight. Let me just tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little clip.
It doesn't want to come out of the water.
It doesn't want to come out.
No, heavy sound, big sound.
Much like ideas, sometimes it's like David Lynch said. So you have to go very deep to find the big fish, right?
Yes.
It's not the surface level that the ideas or the big fish they tend to make their home. It's deep in the sea of inspiration, of obscurity, where you find the truly real ideas.
Yeah, and I should say, let me do a side note here, because I couldn't do the show without Jen, my wife, who you know very well, Seth.
Lake Orion High School alumni.
Her time actually at Lake Orion Television Production Workshop, TPW.
Oh, I was in there as well.
You were in there as well with Mr. Saunders. So 2 years of TPW has really taken my half-assed terrible show and made it a really good, presentable show, because Jen knows how to see the structures and shooting scenes in the right way, and so I couldn't have done it without her, because, you know, all jokes aside, like she's the one behind the camera, and she's making this all come together somehow with a forest school and 3 children of our own. It's been a really fun exercise for both of us to finally work on something together as well. So, you know, Matias talks about his team as well, and Jen is 100% part of my team for this. So thank you, Jen.
I love how it's a full family affair, and thank you, Jen. Matias, very funny. Matt made a point there that so Matt, his wife, and I all went to the same high school, actually. At different times, but we're all alumni from a weird suburban Detroit town, Lake Orion. So it's produced quite a few freaks, actually. Jimmy Edgar's from very nearby as well.
Yeah.
Jimmy would be a great host of a show as well.
Jimmy needs to do a show. Absolutely.
Jimmy, we should reach out to Jimmy and see what 100%. He's up to. It's so funny, like how also as well, Matias, you were saying you're working with, you know, your old friends, and how these collaborators are like friends throughout your life. Matt, it's his wife. Life, I guess the longest of life of collaborators there. Yeah. How we tend to be able to create these ideas together. With your team, how long have you known Camille and your other friend? Or like, how long have you guys been in the situation together and living and working together?
With Camille is actually my girlfriend. We know each other since about 2.5 years or something, and but I knew her music before, and we've been collaborating ever since on different things, we're also now collaborating on another project, with Lucrecia Dalt, a Colombian musician, and Carlos Aye is kind of it's Chilean. Camille is Mexican. Carlos is Chilean, and we have been touring together and everything. Once I built with his brother and me, we built like a band for performing and touring, and it went very well. Like a couple of years ago, that was a lot of fun. But he's like somehow kind of a little bit of a legendary figure in the underground of Chile. He has an extensive collection of old of shellac records. He knows very much about the recording history of Latin American music, and he had this show on our Comeme radio, which was called La Noche de los Discos Vivientes, which means the night of the living records, in which he, cited by his cat, talked about or presented music from the past in Latin America. And so yeah, it's with him I'm been collaborating since a long time. With Camille it's relatively new, but Camille also makes is part of somehow of this world in Mexico, which is very interesting, of people who are more like in what for lack of a better word we would say like experimental music or avant-garde or whatever. And there's like a very interesting scene here in Mexico that I could witness before the pandemic. I mean, they're still active, but not of very great performers. Most of them female actually, and who are doing like an excellent work. So I think many things came together. Also, vibe-wise, it was very cool that it's these three people working together, because somehow the reflections around these times and everything came somehow together and developed to something. We all have used this time creatively in some way to cope and to see what to do. I've been doing a radio show last year, which I wanted to tell you about because of something else, because of this dialogue we are having as artists or musicians. I was doing a show that was called, in Spanish also, that was called Electroterapia, which is on our SoundCloud channel, in which I invited DJs from all over Latin America to have like this therapeutical conversation about the present. And why I'm telling this is very interesting, or I find interesting, is because I saw some thread in common, like this reevaluating of the artistic work towards the public, but also like this rediscovery of the inner world, and also this new connection with the magic that surrounds us. So I've seen many threads in common there with musicians, and I hope that something interesting develops after that, because I can't really imagine that after this we will be wanting to listen to the exactly same kind of music, and things will be different. So for me, it's very interesting to explore all that.
Oh, that's all super interesting, and it's so interesting that like basically we've all found the creativity and to be able to come up with these ideas with the people just directly auxiliary around us, you know, and the people that we love the most. I think we're going to close it up here now, guys. It was so good to speak to you all. Matt, I mean, one other thing, I know Matias has talked about some other things he's working on right now.
Is
there anything currently you're working on that you want to tell the people about before we say goodnight and actually tune into both of your guys' shows?
No. I'm doing this. So
Perfect.
What you're watching right now is the here and me right now. So I'm also in the jungle now, Matias, in case you can't tell.
Great.
Sloth is coming right now, I think.
Incredible. Oh, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show and tuning in with me and talking about you guys' incredible shows. I hope people tune in more. And
you have any questions for the 8-ball, Seth?
That's what I was gonna say.
You want to ask the 8-ball a question before you go?
Wow, what's a good question for the 8-ball?
Shake it up real good for you.
Wow, it's so much pressure. Matias, do you have a question for the 8-ball?
No, I'm very confused.
An 8-ball. This is a toy, quote unquote toy, in America, where there's a back here. See, there's a little window, and it's got a triangular like die inside that has some answers on it. Yeah. So you ask it a question, and we hold up the window, and whatever side of the die shows to the screen, we can get the answer. So let's see. Will the sun be shining today? Because it's cloudy right now. So will the sun come out later, and will it be a nice day? Let's see. I have to hold it this way. Outlook not so good. So apparently it's going to stay cloudy where I am.
Okay, can I ask the ball also if it's going to rain here at some point again? Because we haven't had rain for a couple of days.
Okay. Is it going to rain? 8-ball, is it going to rain where Matias Aguayo is in Mexico? Let's see. Very doubtful. Very doubtful. So no, it does not look good.
Okay.
It's going to be dry for a little longer for you. I'm sorry. And Seth, you get one question as well.
I've got a very long flight today, and I'm hoping for an upgrade. Will the upgrade gods grant me an upgrade later on my flight to California from New York?
Okay, 8-ball. Since I have headphones on, I have to reiterate the question. 8-ball. Seth is taking a very long flight today from LA to New York, and from New York to LA, and he wants to know, will he be granted an upgrade by the upgrade gods? Here we go. Shake it up.
Oh,
you hear that?
Shammy.
It's got the liquid inside. Oh, it's bubbly. Reply hazy. Try again. Okay, let's try again. Will Seth get the upgrade? My reply is no.
Oh.
Well, but that ball is
being very negative today. Being very negative.
I was about to say.
Yeah, sometimes it's on our side, sometimes it's not.
3 no's.
But either way, we had a 3 no's. 3 no's. Well, guys, thank you so much. We're going to wrap it up here. I just wanted to say thank you, and I look forward to seeing your shows later today. Speak to you soon, and over and out.